We need your help as we launch our 2024 Climate Justice Campaign. We would deeply appreciate you going to our KBLA 1580 website and filling out a short climate justice survey, which will help us better serve our beloved community as we build out this campaign. It'll take you just a few short minutes to complete the online survey, and the information you provide us will be invaluable as we do our part to hold folk accountable and amplify the voices of our people in this climate conversation. When you take the survey, you'll be automatically entered to win seats at our annual Black History Month luncheon, Thursday, February 29th. So, hit our website at KBLA 1580. Help us out by taking the short climate justice campaign survey, and you could be our guest at our annual Black History Month luncheon, Thursday, February 29th. Thank you in advance for your consideration and cooperation. At KBLA Talk 1580, we care about the community, we care about the climate. We care about the climate.
Young gun no one that back calling me splurge. Ride me jump right off the curb. Bentley sprint fly like a bird. Spin on the first and the third. Solid, I'm keeping my word. Can't be my equal, I don't know what you heard. Crack up the foreign, I swerve. Keep me a stick if they purge. Young gun don't wanna, they working my nerves. I'm about to pour some serve. Hitting this bar like a perm. Back from the back of a perm. Ice, the bird. Dropping on all you little turds. Can't take the pipe but you turn. In my own lane we can't merge. So with no heads you can learn. Let's see how much you can earn. Why me go big like the worm? And I ain't smoking no shern. I'm in the VIP litty. QP ski. All of my baddies is pretty, they showing it really, it's up to the ceiling. Came home and ran through a milli, I rock with a really, let's hit for a billy. I'ma get down to the gritty and tell the city the home of the villains. Ecstasy wonderful feeling. Smoke out the pound when I'm chillin'. Trapping, I made me a killer. Look, I got everybody wishing. I hope you play your position. I don't want nobody listening. I see them good with precision. Givers my only decision.
Welcome back into hour 3 of RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Coming up, we're going to get into, Shaq. I think Shaq is still recovering from heartbreak. Self-inflicted heartbreak, but heartbreak. We're going to get into his comments about why he feels you should not open up to women as a man. We're also going to talk about Plies. He said that at 47 years old, he's ready to go on his first real date. I have questions. Plies. We're going to give you an update on Tiana Taylor and Iman Shumpert. And, there's a couple of stories I forgot to get into earlier, or at least acknowledge or mention. We just passed the anniversary, not only of Kobe Bryant's untimely passing, but also of his 81-point game against the Toronto Raptors. And over the weekend, we saw Luka Doncic. We had Karl Anthony Towns and
Embiid.
And Embiid
On the actual day.
They scored. What did they score? 60, I think Cat scored.
Yeah, and then Embiid, I believe it was 70, 71, 72, one of those.
Maybe something right around there. And then Luka scored 73 in the Mavs win over the Hawks. So he is just the fourth player in NBA history. So Embiid didn't score 70. Did he? Maybe it's the 73. Maybe that is. Yeah, okay. So he's the 10th player to score in history to score 70 or more. But let's get into this part of it. 4 of those players, 4 of those games, 4 of those performances have come within the last year, right? Wilt Chamberlain, Kobe Bryant, Dave Thompson, those were the 4 that I guess had scored over, maybe it's 72 points, 73 points. But listen, Do we play defense anymore in the NBA? I've seen a lot of the OGs talk about it. I've seen some players give up when it was a clear path to the basket. They're just like, he gonna make that. I'm just gonna move out the way, let him get his 1-2 and keep it moving. Andy?
Unfortunately, it's really the rule changes, quite frankly. You can't do the hand checking.
The hand checking, you feel like that's why?
They want to see more high-scoring games. And same thing with football, too. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, it was we want to run first as opposed to, quarterbacks throwing the long ball. So I think a lot of it has been rule changes and just wanting to make the game more exciting. But, I think at its detriment, to your point, nobody's really playing defense.
So, I'm here for it. I do like a little more excitement in the game. Certainly was exciting if you were watching the NFL when Lamar Jackson passed to himself. Was tipped, caught his own thing. But, at what price? We know this is a conversation that's always had. The generation beforehand always looks at what is being developed out of it and is like, it's not as good as what we had. And it takes, it's not ever going to be the product that we put out there. And sometimes they're right, but we have to have an evolution of things. So, shout out to those guys for holding it down in the league. But I would like to see just, I like when there's a little defense. Come on, think about how excited we were watching LeBron chase down blocks, So I want to see a little more. Also, last week we had the South Carolina Gamecocks. Shout out to Dawn Staley. Love her. They had a big win, and I'm talking women's hoops here, over LSU, Flage, Angel Reese, all of that. And, Dawn talked about the crowd booing her. And she was like, I didn't hear it. I thought they were just calling me boo. So I thought that was very cute. Get him, Dawn. But what I thought was most interesting about that night was that the same night as that game was being played, it was going head to head with Celtics versus Heat. And I'm going to tell you that the women's game came out on top. 1.55 million viewers clocked into South Carolina versus LSU versus 1.38 million for Celtics versus Heat. The women's game is coming, y'all.
Does that really matter? The Heat, for real? Who's tuning in to watch the Miami Heat?
I don't know.
Exactly.
But the Celtics, it doesn't matter. People are tuning in to see the Celtics.
Nah, if it was Celtics Lakers, Celtics Warriors, I could understand.
Not just a Thursday night game with the Celtics. The Heat, they were just in the Eastern Conference Finals not too long ago.
If D-Wade probably was still on the squad, then if LeBron was still on the squad, then maybe. Yeah, the Heat were, in the finals or whatnot, but
no big face Jimmy. We know.
We rock with Jimmy, but if you're not a basketball fan, you probably don't know who Jimmy Butler is.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Well, when we come forward, we're gonna get into more trending topics and headlines. You like that Heat shout out. Why? Because we're gonna slide into a story about Shaquille. Laker, Heat, Cavs, Celtics. He just passed himself around, but we still love him here in LA. We're going to get into all of that and more on the other side. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Climate is king.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that caring for the community means caring about the climate. You might have heard that we announced a pretty bold 12-month, $2 million campaign to do 4 things. Increase climate literacy, turn up the volume on communities of color in the climate conversation, connect everyday people with the resources they need to survive and thrive, and highlight frontline climate justice crusaders of color throughout this year. KBLA Talk 1580 will be bringing you insightful interviews on all of our shows to help raise your climate IQ. Each quarter this year, we will also be hosting free climate events in various communities throughout the city with food, fun, and forward-thinking conversations. Thanks to partners like LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, the Sierra Club, the California Community Foundation, the California Endowment, AQMD, MWD, and more. You'll also be hearing more about a couple of national town halls broadcasting live from Los Angeles, to which you will be invited. And we'll be rolling out a robust social media campaign on all our platforms, as well as an outdoor media campaign, all designed to educate, enlighten, and empower you in our fight for climate justice.
We want cleaner air.
Caring about the community means caring about the climate. At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that we really can change the world if we care enough. Environmental justice is racial justice.
Environmental justice is social justice.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment through the arts. Tia Chucha Central Cultural is on a mission to transform community in the Northeast San Fernando Valley and beyond through ancestral knowledge, the arts, literacy, and creative engagement. The Northeast San Fernando Valley has a population of about 500,000, the size of the city of Oakland, yet it has no bookstores, art galleries, or full-fledged cultural spaces until Tia Chuchas opened its doors in 2001. Founded by renowned poet and activist Luis Rodriguez, Tia Chuchas Cultural Center provides a year-round free or low-cost arts and literacy bilingual intergenerational programming in mural painting, music, dance, writing, visual arts, healing art sessions, and healing talking circles. Activities also include Mexica, Aztec dance, indigenous cosmology, philosophy, and 2 weekly open mic nights, one in Spanish, the other in English. In addition, they host author readings, film screenings, and art exhibits. To express yourself, heal yourself, attend an event, or volunteer, please visit www.tiachucha.org. That's TIACHUCHA.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So, listen. We know that Shaq's ex-wife, Shawnee O'Neal, I think it was last year, recently got remarried. This will be Shawnee's 3rd marriage. And she is now married to a pastor out in Houston. She moved to Houston. And she said that this one is forever. She's locked in. And around the time when she announced, I guess, her engagement or, things of that nature, Shaq was very much, in the mindset of letting it be known he would always provide for Shawnee and his kids, no matter what. And was very big on how he messed up. And now he's a little lonely out there. In Atlanta, because he's moved to Atlanta, obviously, because he works with TNT and so forth. And, we saw photos of him. What was that from that just took place where he was with 2 younger-looking young ladies? They caught him.
Hoops.
What was it? It was something, I can't remember.
At a mall, right?
Somewhere. It was like he was at a hotel. Was it in Vegas? I feel like it was something. It was during the in-season tournament.
In Vegas.
It was in Vegas, yeah. And he was with 2 young ladies who looked to be, significantly younger than his 51 years. No judgment, just saying. And so he's been a little emotional. That's what you Pisces do sometimes. I don't know, it's a water sign. But Andy, before we get
I'm just curious to know this whole pastor situation.
Okay.
Like, is she like a holy roller now or something? Or
so here's the thing. In truth, right? Shawnee, within her first marriage, they were heavily involved with Faithful Central. She has always been a part of that congregation. Little known fact, because Shawnee is from LA, Inglewood. She went to Catholic school. I know she went to St. Monica's for a minute. Not sure if she did the St. Mary's trek too. But I say that to say that her being with a religious man or being involved in the church if you know, you know. It's not something completely off brand for her or something that is not a part of who she is or who she's been. So I will say that, you know,
I guess I don't want to say I'm confused.
unexpected.
You know,
Yeah.
I get it. You know, just maybe the perception I had of her. You know, obviously being with Shaq, and then was Basketball Wives
Basketball
popping
Wives,
up.
she's the executive producer that still appears on it
You
occasionally.
know, I just it got me thinking about what's her name, Megan Good and Devon Franklin, and
Hmm.
when Megan Good hooked up with Devon Franklin, everybody was like, "Oh, she's for the streets. She's for the streets." They finally break up, and it's like, "Well, welcome back home to the streets." And I'm not trying to insinuate anything. I'm just curious to know how that's working out because and I appreciate the information behind her. You know what I mean? That just goes to show that, like you said, it's not really off brand on her behalf. But I was just curious to know, and I hope it works.
I think that there's a couple of things to consider too, right? Megan was younger, no kids. Megan was in her early 30s when she got with Devon. Shawnee, as I said, this is Shawnee's third marriage. Not her first, not her second, her third marriage, you
She's
know?
grown for sure.
Right? Her oldest child from her first marriage, but like he uses Shaq's last name and all of that. That's a different conversation. He's 28 years old, you know? So I think that Shawnee is in a different phase of her life, you know? She's in her mid to late 40s. So she might be looking for a more slowed down lifestyle. She and Shaq were broken up before now granted, she was in a relationship, a long term relationship before this one. But I mean, I think that she's had time to sow her wild oats, be out there, see, these streets are kind of raggedy. I met this one, and this feels like home to me. So she says, and now she's stepping into the first lady role. And if we're being honest, right? Not all, but some first ladies, part of what, makes them and some of the pastors is that they have a past, right? That they have a past and they acknowledge that they have a past and they understand how the worldliness of your environment can, cause challenges and obstacles, and they can speak to you in a different way. So I will say that I'm not one to sit in judgment and say that because someone maybe, started off one way that they couldn't have learned from that experience or, moved past it and want to share their, mistakes or help you navigate through it. We all go through some things that might change us and change us in different ways. But I do understand, Andy, your feeling of, sophisticated lifestyle, a lot of money, a lot of different things. So it would seem being the first lady of a church would include some different things. But let us not forget that the first lady is wealthy herself. So does the lifestyle have to change all of that much?
I just don't want to see her on Preachers of LA.
I mean, she would produce her own show, I'm sure. She and her husband, I believe, if there wasn't already, there is a special coming up about, them and their relationship. She has a production deal at VH1.
Is this pastor popular or something?
Um, I think that his popularity is growing.
What's his name?
Keon Henderson,
Okay.
Houston based.
Okay, I don't know.
He was also married before, and before they started dating, I believe they met because he had a women's some type of event or something, and Shawnee and Evelyn spoke at it or something like that. At any rate, that's some backstory. So now, cut to, Shaq has his own podcast that he does. I think it's called The Big Podcast. I know he had one version of it where he was on it with Nichelle Turner. That's her name. Kept wanting to say Nichols. That's the Star Trek lady. Nichelle Turner. And I think maybe Spice Adams or someone. But this new version of it. It's with him and Adam LaCoy, I think Adam's name. He's the co-host on Tuesday nights. Lefko, thank you. Inside the NBA. So they have a podcast, and in a recent conversation, they were discussing, women and relationships and opening up. Before we play the clip, I want to read some of these comments in the chat because they're kind of interesting. Urban Spinster says, Siri, play So Emotional by Carl Thomas. Shawnee and the pastor had a special leading up to their wedding. So the special did already air. Shawnee says she's not leaving Basketball Wives. So, she's still the executive producer of it. So we may see more from them. Kendi in the chat says, the pastor was there the whole time she was with Shaq. She didn't want him. Now she has no options. That's what Kayla Nicole is experiencing. That's why Kayla is acting all pro-black now. Now, Kendi, now. No, I don't believe that. Shawnee and Shaq got together in the late 2000s. The pastor a little younger than her, regardless. The late 90s. That's what I meant to say. The late 90s. That's what I'm trying to say. Married. She had on a platinum dress at the wedding. She was pregnant, blah, blah, blah. Listen, I do not believe the pastor was there all along because she was dating Marlon for a significant period of time. That was the younger guy. He played DOC in Straight Outta Compton. He was an actor. And there were some things. So I don't think that this guy was waiting in the wings per se. I also think, let me tell you guys something, and I'm, just going to say this. People throw a lot of shade to women who date athletes or wealthy men and, oh, they can't do this and, oh, da-da-da-da-da. Let me tell you something. Athletes love a referral. They love a referral. Oh, you dated him and him? I want in on that too. They do. And really, do you think that they don't know that these women have had prior relationships with other professional athletes or entertainers? They know, and they seek them out anyway and have no issue with it. So let's not do that. Let's not act like the women are just totally scrambling and that these men are not pursuing them either. Like a friend told me, we were talking about another topic that's sort of related, but not. And the friend shared, a lot of these guys have grown up watching these women, much like people did singers and stars back in the day. They've seen them on social media and they have desired them. And when they get the opportunity to be in the same space, they want to shoot their shot too. So it's not like they have to go looking really hard to find another athlete or whatever. Trust and believe they will make their way. It's like Gucci Man said, miss one, next 15, one coming. He was talking about buses, but you can apply that to men. You can apply it to women. It's always going to be another one. Okay. All right. So Shaq seemed to be in his feelings. And he said that as a man, you should not open up to women.
It's like a relationship. The day you fall off, that woman ain't interested as you think.
Yeah, once you start complaining and dragging your feet.
She don't want to hear no complaint. The day you come home and think you could be like, baby, I was down, I lost it. She gonna stroke your ego, but she gonna remember that time. You cannot let them see you one time down. The world can't see your head down one time.
Ever.
So I'd tell people.
I want you both to know that you can. No. And I know that you've experienced.
Cannot.
I don't want to get to like Dr. Phil right now.
No, but
you don't think you've ever had someone that you really could trust and really open up?
Now, if you want to keep it, if you want to give somebody else some all the time, you know what I'm saying, if you want to bad one, I'm just being real.
Oh, I guess.
You open up to a woman?
Yeah.
Never. No, never.
When's the last time you think you've opened up to a woman?
We don't.
Your whole life,
bro. I'm telling you,
got players like I could. Me and him related.
Yeah,
it's our first time meeting,
but
I
can tell you guys there's some connection here.
Oh no,
they're gonna tell you can't
because you know why?
But it's a trap.
Because you know why?
I'm trapped like a motherfucker.
No, I'm gonna tell you why. Because once you do, Whenever something go down, they're going to throw it back in your face.
Well, that's why.
That's
So
why.
listen.
So you can't ever.
That's why you cry, because your dad left.
Yeah.
So listen. For one, I do not believe that Shaq has never opened up to a woman. I know he has. That sounds like heartbreaking misery, Shaq. It's going to be okay. Stiff upper lip, champ. It's going to be all right. Country Wayne kind of said it there, what the problem is. And this is the situation. When you are going, both men and women, if as a man you were going for a type of aesthetic, you want the dream girl, you want the BBL, even if it's a tasteful BBL, you want an Instagram vixen, right? There are certain things that come along with it. Doesn't mean that they're incapable of love. Doesn't mean that they're incapable of wanting you for you. But you are targeting them for a certain thing. So why should you be surprised if they're targeting you for the same thing? I also will subscribe that when you treat women as disposable, right? Listen, you here for my enjoyment and that's it. And when I'm tired of you, on to the next. I can replace you. Next one up. Don't be surprised when you don't get loyalty in return, because you've shown them that you don't value them. And the thing that you value them for, you feel is replaceable with any other woman.
Is that what Shaq did, or is that how he feels?
Shaq is hurt. Do you know what I'm saying? Shaq is talking. Shaq is a lover boy. Shaq is a rescuer. Shaq has been accused by some of his other NBA brethren of throwing salt in the game. Shaq has been called a dirty Mac, you know. Listen, sometimes being a friend means giving information to someone that is of help to them, you know, that he may not be looked at as a guy's guy when he's done it. You know, Shaq has given information like, oh, you need to ask him for more child support because I know he's paying da-da-da-da and things of that nature, right? But I don't think that that is what he was saying, but Country Wayne very much said you got to pay for loyalty. And if you want the bad ones, they are not necessarily going to be there to support you because they're only there for a limited thing too. So you got to look at what you're searching for. You can't go for superficial things and then be surprised when you're in a superficial relationship, right? Maybe. Oh, it's a lot popping in the chat, and Andy looks like he has something to add. When we come forward, we're going to get into more comments from the chat on this decision on if men can open up to women. They can. I think Shaq's just heartbroken, though, and he's a Pisces, and so he's in his feelings, and he's eating them. But more on that on the other side. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Look, I got everybody wishing. I hope you play your position. I don't want nobody listening. I see him good with precision. Givers my only decision. Young gun don't want that back calling me splurge. Ride me jump right off the curb. Bentley spread fly like a bird. Spin on the first and the third. Solid, I'm keeping my word. Can't be my equal, I don't know what you heard. Crank up the foreign, I swerve. Keep me a stick if they purge.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
More when we come forward.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. A pastor and civil rights activist is seeking early release from a federal prison in South Georgia. Pastor Kenneth Glasgow was ordered this past July to serve 30 months behind bars after pleading guilty to drug charges. Now he's asking to be released early due to a myriad of medical conditions. He says the medical issues will increase his chance of sickness or death if he remains locked up at the minimum security prison in Jessup. The Tennessee Board of Judicial Conduct is recommending a black Shelby County judge be removed from office. Judge Melissa Boyd has been suspended since May of 2023 after she admitted to using drugs and was charged with coercing and harassing her campaign manager. Boyd's term ends in 2030, but the Board of Judicial Conduct has recommended her removal from office. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
Progressive Insurance is making it easy to save money. When you bundle your auto policy with home, condo, or renters, you'll earn a multi-policy discount. Easy to bundle, easy to save. Visit Progressive.com. That's Progressive.com.
We all agree that America has a very serious problem.
Okay, KBLA delegation, we need your help as we launch our 2024 Climate Justice Campaign. We would deeply appreciate you going to our KBLA 1580 website and filling out a short climate justice survey, which will help us better serve our beloved community as we build out this campaign. It'll take you just a few short minutes to complete the online survey, and the information you provide us will be invaluable as we do our part to hold folk accountable and amplify the voices of our people in this climate conversation. When you take the survey, you'll be automatically entered to win seats at our annual Black History Month luncheon, Thursday, February 29th. So, hit our website at KBLA 1580. Help us out by taking the short climate justice campaign survey, and you could be our guest at our annual Black History Month luncheon, Thursday, February 29th. Thank you in advance for your consideration and cooperation. At KBLA Talk 1580, we care about the community, we care about the climate. We care about the climate.
We're not just a thermometer recording and broadcasting popular opinion.
We aim to be a thermostat,
transforming the conversation about climate justice in our community. This is KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Stay Housed LA has the resources you need to know your rights and the legal support to back them up. The COVID-19 pandemic has cost people their jobs and livelihoods. This has left an estimated 1/3 of households not being able to make rent and facing losing their homes. This is a fear no one in our community should have to face. You have rights, though, and Stay Housed LA is here to help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between the County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, and local community and legal service providers. Together, they provide tenants with the information and support needed to exercise their rights so they can remain safely in their homes. Find out more about your rights by participating in a virtual tenant workshop. Get the legal assistance you need. Find additional resources in Los Angeles County and the City of Los Angeles. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA County for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. That's stayhousedla.org. Or call their hotline at 213-694-0040. We've got your black with a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California and around the country to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. As part of JP Morgan Chase commitment, they are taking action to help improve financial wealth and access to banking in the Black community, helping more people open low-cost checking and savings accounts, hosting community seminars with supporting Black-led institutions by building awareness about financial investments, hiring community managers, and opening community center branches like Crenshaw, Inglewood, and downtown LA. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Get the tools to help reach your financial goals. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity.
Got me a damn girl on my team.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe we have the best tag team in morning radio. Dominique DePrima and Tavis Smiley as the first Black woman in Los Angeles to anchor a morning drive talk radio show. Dominique covers local politics like a blanket. Weekday mornings from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. At 9 a.m., Dominique passes the baton to Tavis Smiley, who talks to everybody about everything every day until 12 noon. KBLA's dynamic duo, Dominique and Tavis. It's no wonder the LA Civil Rights Department is honoring Dominique DePrima this year at its Tell Our Story honoring Black journalist leaders and storytellers event, Thursday, February 8th. Or that the John M. Langston Bar Association of Los Angeles is honoring Tavis Smiley at its 47th Annual Installation and Scholarship Awards Gala with its Community Impact Award on February 10th. We couldn't be more proud of Dominique and Tavis, who make Black history every day, not just in February. If you're missing Dominique and Tavis weekday mornings on KBLA Talk 1580, you're missing out. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
Holla, yeah.
Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You know, Jean, I want to know why she's getting funky on me. You know what I'm saying? Is it a real true fact that she's getting funky on me? Man, look, listen. I'm the B dot the G. Let's do it.
Shout out to the OG House Party soundtrack. Now, you can see me bopping to that song in the OG House Party. If you know, you know. Welcome back into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. We are talking love and regret and heartbreak and the world according to Shaquille O'Neal. Now, the chat, they got a lot to say about this topic, so we're going to weigh in with some of their commentary. Negro Please Network says, where is the accountability for 30-year-old people acting like kids? Dream Girl, what happened to the dream women these Victoria Vixen pass around like sperm bank volunteer? I'm a little lost on that. You can run that back and I'll read it back. It might just be me not quite connecting. I think what you're saying is that people aren't acting their age and not recognizing that what a dream girl is before 30 is different. I'm unclear. So an explanation, please, por favor. Appreciate you. Brother Alfonso says, don't listen to men who don't have a history of being stable and in healthy relationships. Country is great for his skits, not relationship advice, and Shaq sounds hurt. Very, very good point. Let me ask you this, Brother Alfonso. Do you believe that if you have experienced, right, heartbreak, hurt, pain, or whatever, maybe you were a dog and you went through that, like prior to, you had a lot of bad relationships. Do you think that you can learn from those bad experiences and turn that around and, maybe not Country Wayne and Shaq, but in general, don't you think that we learn from our experiences? We take the sum of those experiences and learn not to make those same mistakes. We learn what we like, what we don't like, what is tolerable for us, etc. I don't know, just a thought. But I do understand about not necessarily taking advice from those who are not locked in. They don't have a record of being successful at it. But there's lots of things that individually we may not have hit it out the park with the first time or two, but we learn and we evolve and we grow. And that's why we share and give back to others to say, hey, I did A, B, and C. That was whack. Try this. Andy?
Listening to Shaq and those statements, I just feel that you probably won't see him in a relationship. I don't want to say never, but anytime soon. If it's a relationship, it's not going to last any long. As long as he still has that perspective, he's not going to get into anything serious anytime soon, because quite frankly, you have to be vulnerable in order to get into a loving relationship. You know what I mean? It's part of the game, especially if you want it to work.
I mean, you have to be vulnerable. You have to open up. And I mean, that's part, to your point, trust is a big thing. Trusting that that individual is not going to let you down. You know, it's not just about cheating or things, just let you down. You have to trust that they are going to be there to support you, to cheer you on and encourage you, to, comfort you, all of those things. And if you're not opening up, how are they to know? How are they to know that it's not a good day for me? Or, when these topics are brought up or these things happen, it impacts my mood, which might impact how I interact with you. All of that comes from communication. And you're not going to be able to move ahead, move forward with anyone, really, but especially a romantic relationship, unless you want it to be very transactional, which I don't think Shaq does. I mean, Shaq may be a little gifty, so we hear. And, but I think he wants to be in love. I think he is a teddy bear type when in a relationship. And, he was the man for a very long time. And so as the man status gets replaced, because here's the reality, Shaq is still rich. We know he's going to be rich for an awfully long time. So it's not that he can't pull women, and it's not even that he can't pull attractive women or some that may like him for him, but he knows he's in the twilight, and when he should have been looking for more substantial, I'll say, traits, he probably overlooked a few of those things. And he also regrets that he had, I guess to a large degree, the woman that he would have wanted to be with, that got his humor, that understood his moods, that rode with him. And he was in those streets. Heavy. It happens. Andy.
I don't really have much to say, but you with that extra heavy, you sounded like you know some things.
I do.
Care to share?
No. I mean, listen, here's the thing, right? If Shawnee, we talked about this, Shawnee O'Neal is releasing her memoir in a couple months. So I believe that is going to have a lot of interesting tidbits. She said she's going to get into everything, so I think she's going to share stuff. And if you've read Shaquille O'Neal's autobiography, he in it discussed cheating, being in those streets. He didn't get into specifics, but there have been some things, some court cases floating around out there where accusations have gone about. A quick Google search will bring you up so many, many things. The things that I am referencing, may not come up in a Google search. However, same thing, same time, man, same time, same thing. I think the idea is just that, what felt good in the moment, long term, you have those regrets. And that's the thing about commitment. You are making the decision to give up temporary pleasure for what you feel is long-term value. And I'm sure Shaq understood it when he was going through it, but now it's hitting him differently. His children are getting older. His youngest daughter is about to graduate from high school this year. She's going off to college. So there's really nothing tying him in that way to the family aspect and perspective, So things just move differently. Urban Spinster says, I've heard some things, nail salon talk in the day. I mean, this
care to share?
Urban Spinster, Andy says, do you care to share? Negro Police Network says, why are men looking for social strippers? Try turning them into wife material. 3 or 4, they belong in the streets. So, listen.
It's the same reason why women look for
Bad boys,
edgy guys, ballers, trying to turn them into husbands.
I mean, and here's the reality. At some point, they might be a husband or a wife for someone after they've been through some things. Some people, you've heard the expression, hard head makes a soft behind. Some people need to experience things. They need to go through it. They need to have that period. And for some, it'll make them appreciate when they find the person that much more. They won't feel like, listen, did I miss out on something? Is there more out there for me? Is there, did I miss a certain aspect of my life? Am I stifling myself by committing early or quickly or whatever the case may be? It's trial and error with relationships, especially in the era that we're in now.
I also think the key thing that needs to be discussed individually is the difference between lust and love.
Facts.
I think a lot of the times, generally speaking, us men, we think we're in love, but we're really just full in lust. And I think that's that awareness as you move forward, because I think a lot of the times, you get with somebody in lust, right? And, you guys have your fun or whatever the case may be, and then it eventually turns into a relationship. I think
it just happens, right? You just fall into the groove.
Yeah, I think the intentions behind it already was off whack, which, you have horrible relationships. So I just think, being aware of whether you're in lust with this individual, and then once again, just the intention behind it. It takes a level of emotional maturity and awareness to be able to do that. But, you got to practice that.
I mean, that is a major thing, because you said it right there, intention. If you are meeting someone and your intent is just to have a good time, as long as everybody is on that page, no problem. The problem comes into play, we know, when you want to have a good time and they are looking for something serious or a life mate, and you play that because it's comfortable for now. Well, I don't have anyone here right now. They're feeling a particular need that I have in the moment. And so we end up in spaces and places that we may not necessarily want to be, but worked for the moment, instead of taking the mature approach and saying, you know what, I'm going to step away from this because it's not where I want to be long term, and I don't want to complicate my life with some of these things. But again, sometimes we have to grow into that place and grow and learn to understand our needs as people and what we, feel we can handle and what we're ready for. Blah, blah, blah. When we come forward, we're going to get into more trending topics and headlines, some of these comments. And Tiana says that you people, TMZ specifically, needs to back up out of her business and give her some grace. We're going to talk about all of that and more on the other side. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, we're replacing the carpets too, so don't worry about that.
No fresh powder yet, but Dan's Ski Lodge has an avalanche of projects.
Those 4 rooms are getting hot tubs.
He needs a staff engineer to navigate a flurry of new requests.
And all of those will be fully ADA accessible.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Watch out! You got me!
The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, home of the 2024 Climate Justice Campaign.
Meet Cheryl.
Hey.
She's on vacation and lost in the moment. Unfortunately, so is her Chase debit card.
It's gotta be somewhere.
Maybe she lost it at salsa night.
These skirts should have pockets.
Or maybe she lost it at Pilates.
3 and 2 and...
But she's not worried. With the Chase mobile app, she can lock her card till it turns up. Tools that help protect. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles is a nonprofit law firm that protects and advances the rights of the most underserved, leveling the playing field and ensuring that everyone can have access to the justice system. Every year, LAFLA provides free, high-quality legal services to more than 100,000 people living in poverty across greater Los Angeles. Their unique combination of neighborhood offices, self-help centers at courthouses, and domestic violence clinics puts Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles on the front lines in vulnerable communities and at the forefront of change. LAFLA's expert team of attorneys, paralegals, and support staff works to provide direct representation, offer counsel and advice, provide referrals, and educate the community about their legal rights through workshops and seminars. With locations all over LA, you can access their services or volunteer to help no matter where you live. And if you have an urgent issue, call 213-235-0060. That's 213-235-0060. To get legal help, make a donation, or volunteer, visit lafla.org. lafla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So actually, we're going to hold the Tiana story until tomorrow because I forgot I wanted to talk to you about plies. Really quickly, Negro Police Network says it just shows that men don't value themselves the way that they should. I would tend to agree with you sometimes. Sometimes the desire for has y'all wilding out. That's what it means, simply put. It happens.
You know why I think we don't value ourselves sometimes?
Why?
We were taught to not be emotional about things sometimes. So, sometimes we have to suppress and, compartmentalize our emotions. So sometimes we move in life kind of like just with no regard.
YOLO.
Basically, you know what I mean? And I think that mentality that we were taught has kind of been, I don't want to say our downfall, but it's been a hindrance to us.
It leads to a bit of detachment, yeah.
I mean, that's removing an aspect of our being to not be emotional about certain things, or else we're going to be seen as weak. Yeah, I can see why we don't value ourselves, because we're just living our lives just reckless without any care in the world.
I often see like guys say, oh, men's feelings don't count, men's values don't count, and stuff like that. And while I think that's a bit of a stretch, I do understand where that thought process is coming from and how sometimes the idea that men feel things is disregarded because we're so used to it being, we don't love them souls, we don't care, all of the things that, like you said, men are socialized to sort of put out there as the pillars of manhood. So, we got to talk, y'all. That is the answer, communication. It really is. Okay, so plies, busted baby plies. Some people say Kirk Franklin's doppelganger, Plies, the Florida rapper, used to be a nurse. He has recently admitted that he has never been out on a real date. He said that his 2024 plans include going out on a real date for the first time. He said, I made a commitment to myself tonight. Listen, this year, I'm going out on a date. I'm going on a date. I've never went out on a real date ever in my life. I just never did it. Did I mention Blythe is 47 years old? He's 47. He said, I got a lot of reasons why I've never done it, but I ain't never did it. I want to go out on a full date. I'm talking about pick you up, get out like a gentleman, open the door for you. I'm paying for everything. And I think that something that he said in that part is key. Like, I think he's probably been out on a date, but I do get what he means by a real date. I think that, maybe starting in Generation X, right? Maybe later on. The idea of courting has largely gone out the window. You know, we don't, one, it's scary, it's not safe, but how many times are you picked up to go out on a date? You know, where you come out to the car and the man opens the door for you. At this point, that kind of happens later in a relationship after you're established because a lot of guys are like, I'm not doing that for her. You know, they barely want to pay for a dinner because they think you're using them just to get a meal off. So I feel the thought process that maybe he hasn't been on a real date because a real date, I think, has become synonymous with sucker stuff. You know what I mean? If you were dating a woman, almost it's considered you're a sucker because why are you giving her your value when she hasn't done anything to earn it? You know, it's that whole back and forth. And you're like, but you are going to expect for your little entree and an appetizer for the woman to give you kitty cat. And she's like, but do you really even deserve it? So it's like the back and forth, the chicken and the egg. Which comes first? Money, power, respect, love? How does that all work together? Or it could have just been a ploy for Plies to get the women to get excited. Because you know the comments and the DMs were lit. He did add, I done paid for everything. I done did that all my life, but I want to go out on a full date. I want to hold hands, everything. I've never held hands in public ever in my life. And I think that that is key. Once again, the sucker aspect of it, because I think men like romance too, a little bit. And they want to be romanced a little bit too and have those stars and hearts moments, but they're told that that's a sign of weakness. So they deny it. And they don't want to open up to a woman that way because they're afraid she's just using them for their money and they're going to get played. And there goes that sucker label once again, you know? Ply says that, I'm going to tell you something, I've always seen it and I've always wanted to do it before God calls me. You see them people walking around the mall, the couples, and the man got his hand in her back pocket and she has it in his. I got to do it. I want to put my hand in the back pocket. So ladies, if you are interested in trying to shoot your shot at Plies, he's looking for a date. Get into it. Shout out to everybody in the chat for checking in. I appreciate you. I appreciate you guys always locked in. Listen, tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Pacific time, make sure you're back. Later this week, we have interviews with DMC from Run DMC, couple others. So make sure you're on the lookout for that. Have an amazing night. Oh, one more comment from the chat, Negro Please Network. Boys are taught that they are not the prize, the girl is. So they come into a relationship with low self-esteem, low value, and that is the real problem, and we need to change that. Great point. Great point. Kendi says opening the door for a woman on the first date is awkward. No, it isn't, Kendi. We know you're young. We're going to have to talk to you and get you in there. Listen, on the other side, the best of KBLA. Thank you, VIPs, for locking in. I'll see you back here tomorrow night, 9 p.m. for more trending topics and headlines. Have an amazing night.